Hi Dr. Chan, my name is ROZIATUL MAZELAN and my metric numbers is DN 180002. So in today I want to explain about execution and mechanism dynamic compaction. Firstly, dynamic compaction method is applicable for a wide variety of soil condition, can be applied to centered and uncentered loess sand, even with the safety pockets. Dynamic compaction is a ground improvement technique that soil and fill material. The drop weight is lifted by a crane and repeatedly dropped into the ground surface. Third, the method involves dropping heavy steel pounders repeatedly to the ground at regularly spaced interval. Also, the weight and height of pounding depends. The weight and height of pounding depends on the degree of compaction. The usually range of pounder is between 12 to 25 ton and height can be up to 25 meters. Dynamic compaction can be safely executed as close as 30 until 50 meters from existing construction structure. And lastly, impact point shall be set out in the grade pattern for the area to be treated, and no additional materials are required beyond the backfill for create on the surface of the platform.
Hi, today I will explain about the site and soil condition for the dynamic compaction. This is one of the method that being used to improve the ground for the construction. Okay, the first one for the soil condition. For dynamic compaction is suitable for the following condition. The first one is the loose, partially saturated fields. In this case, dynamic compaction is can be used on the soil which contain the partial saturated soil. The partial saturated soil is mainly there is a three main component, which is air, water, and also the solid. For the saturated soil, the use of the dynamic compaction is not suitable, and it can cause the using the dynamic compaction is not very effective. Okay, the second one, dynamic compaction is suitable for the following condition, which is saturated free drain soil, and also the soil with plasticity index less than 8, which means that the degree of the plasticity is very low, and also the degree of the cohesiveness is partly cohesive. The degree of cohesiveness is the one of the important factor on the soil consistency. It was the shear strength when the compressive stress are equal to 0. The next one, the dynamic compaction is also suitable in the following condition. The clay soil with a low degree of saturation, or the moisture content lower than plastic limit. In this case, when the soil is more than the plastic limit, it cannot be used because the soil is already in saturated condition. So below that, it can be used for the using the dynamic compaction. Okay, this one is the general soil type for the using the dynamic compaction or the suitability using of this method. First one is granular deposit in the grain with the size range boulder to the sand with 0% passing the 0.074 mm sieve. The degree of saturation is either high or low, and it can be used for the dynamic compaction. The next one is the granular deposit containing not more than 35% silt. There is two conditions for the saturation. For the first one is the high. It can be used for the dynamic compaction, and also the low degree of saturation, it can be used for the dynamic compaction also. The next one also can be used for the dynamic compaction, either high or low in degree of saturation, which is for the semi-permeable solid soil deposit, which is less than plasticity index less than 8. The next one is the soil type, which is more than 8 in plastic index. Either the condition is high or low. The suitability is it cannot be used for the dynamic compaction method, because it's very hard to compact the soil that contain the more enough the water, or the soil is already saturated. And also the next one is the Masonite fill, including the paper, organic deposit, metal, and wood. It cannot be used for the dynamic compaction, because it has the decomposition limit in the embankment. It have the long term of settlement. And the last one is the soil with it has the organic silts or deposit pit. Either the degree is very high. The suitability is it cannot be used unless there is sufficient energy applied to the mixed granular with the organic soil.
Okay, hi. Very good morning to my daughter, Dr. Chan. I hope you are in a good condition. Okay, my name is AMEERA SYUHADA binti ZULKIFLI. Today I would like to present about technology advancement of dynamic compaction. Okay, as we can see in the picture, this is one example of technology advancement. First is high energy impact compactor. What is high energy impact compaction? Okay, why? It is a traction, rotating, rectangular or pentagonal steel drum. Weighing is about 8 to 60 times to provide repeat high energy impact from a fall height of 0.15 to 0.25 meter. Okay, how it is work? How the process of HAFIZI. The optimal traction speed is usually about 10 to 12 km per hour, and the shape and the weight of the steel drum must be determined through the field trial. The maximum treatment depth can be usually reached is 1.5 to 2.5 meter. What is the impact? The impact is the productivity may be as high as 6,000 to 9,000 square meter per 12 hours. It involves repeatedly transmitting high energy impact to the ground, thereby increasing soil density and increasing soil strength and stiffness. Okay, the second technology is rapid impact compaction. Okay, what is that? As we can see in the picture, it's a surface compaction technique involving a hydraulic hammer dropped on a steel footing, placed on the ground surface and connect to a crane. Okay, how it is work? The weight of the hammer is between 9 and 18 tons, and the diameter of the foothold between 1 meter to 2.5 meter.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. So, good morning. I'm HAFIZI. So, I will explain about what is advantages for dynamic compaction test. So, there are many of advantage of dynamic compaction test. Before we start the construction, okay. So, the first advantages is less plan required on site for a shorter period, thus operational cost reduced. Next is reduction in diesel and oil consumption, delivery quantities and frequency. Okay, third advantage is reduced number of operators, therefore reduced man hours. And The next is less carbon emission, minimizing environmental impact during the construction phase of the project. Number 5 is will the allowable moisture content range reduce the need for continuous watering, mixing, and processing of many cut to fill layers. Next is allow for a uniform density profile throughout the sub-base, subgrade, and underlaying road bed layers. Result in more impermeable, stable, longer-lasting pavement to a greater depth. Eliminate the need for expensive excavation of in-situ material. And next is allow strength balance through the pavement layer works to a depth of below 1.5 meter will be superior to that of any conventional construction methodology. And then lastly is dynamic compaction is an essential force in road construction.
Greetings everyone. Okay, now I will talk about the innovation in the dynamic compaction. In brief, dynamic compaction is a process where a weight is being dropped from the crane onto the ground, and then the weight is between 8 to 35 tons, dropped from 7 to 30 meter high. Okay, the weight might be swing to other direction and did not drop at the same place because the weight is being attached with the crane cable, and it might be swing by the movement of a wind. And then by using the concept of weight of work penetration test, where a penetration test is a process where the weight or hammer being dropped along with the anvil to penetrate the smooth sampler into the ground. The movement of the weight are controlled and unable to swing to other direction because the weight is being attached with the slip or guide pipe, anvil, and then penetrate the smooth sampler at the same place. Okay, by using the concept of the penetration test, we should improvise the crane or the machinery used in the dynamic compaction by control the direction of the weight. The weight will drop statically at the same point each of the drop. The weight unable to swing to other direction that might harm other people and the crane.